Men cannot en masse provide. So when we're sitting here having these conversations, just understand it is not realistic down the line. You need feminism. If women were to all go home, this country would fall apart.
Whoa.
You cannot remove 50% of a labor force and expect for there not to be an interruption that would take decades to even try to fix. And most of the men that we have here today are not the ones that built anything. Y'all were not the ones that did any of this infrastructure. You didn't design, you're not an architect, you are laborers in mass. There's men telling other men to get a trade and not go to school. So what is a trade? You're a laborer, right? That is okay, that's fine, I'm not shaming it. But what I'm saying is, if everything were to fall apart and women had to go home, there was no feminism, we can't have credit cards, this country would fall apart.
Got a good one for you guys here today. All right. Shout out to the Lapeef Network. If you guys are unfamiliar, they are a panel-based YouTube channel where they take diametrically opposed positions, put them all together, and they have fruitful conversations. The title of their video that we're getting ready to go over is The Differences or the Reasons Behind the Red Pill Movement and Modern Feminism. The contestants within the debate perfectly represent each side. So what I'm going to attempt to do here is to be a middleman to critically think and assess the discussions that they are having so we can have a fruitful conversation. But I love these type of conversations because typically folks like to dance around them, but these type of subjects impact everybody. So let's break it down and get straight to the truth without further ado. Now the conversation is going to take a little bit to warm up, but bear with me because I want you to hear the positions before we get into the main crux of the arguments.
So but in most states, that's not feasible.
Right. But I'm saying so you're saying that it's money and personality. Mm-hmm. So what comes in? Where does character come in? Where does integrity come in? What is a plan, a vision? What about those things? Because money and personality cannot run a household.
Right. So when you speak about like, if somebody is working, right? If somebody is gainfully employed, then unless they're a trust fund baby or a Nepo baby, they have some kind of wherewithal, which are driving factors in somebody being attracted to them, right? They probably have discipline, some kind of ambition. The integrity would be a part of it unless they're just a swindler and it's an MLM scheme or something like that. Like it's usually a part of it. Like I would probably say that you'd find a lot of qualities in someone that's self-driven and self-motivated that you'd find to be some of those qualities, and then they have a personality.
So they're talking about requirements for a man to be in a relationship, and she mentions money and personality. And I often see her response when somebody calls her out based off of other factors that determine a good man, morality, integrity, discipline, and they'll justify it by assuming that because he's a successful money-making man, then that also makes him a good man, which is a fundamental flaw. There is little correlation, both male and female, to the amount of money that you can make and as well as your morality or integrity. Trust me. Let's go.
Right. I just don't think it's one or the other. Life is a little bit more complex.
Maybe so, but I'm just going based upon what you all ladies said on the panel. You did not say integrity or character or have a plan or a vision. You talked about personality and money. And so what I would suggest is that the issue that I believe that I have with the statement about money and personality is that neither, like I said before, neither one of those can run a household. You're going to need a man that has a plan and he knows exactly where he's going and how he's going to get there. And the woman should be coming alongside him to make sure that happens. When you said that feminism, if it went away, then men wouldn't know what to do. Well, we all know that men make up pretty much everything that is considered construction, right? Men are the ones that actually built what it is that we're talking about.
Sure.
Am I wrong?
Okay.
There are very few women that have been inventors of anything.
Okay. So Standard issue RP talking points. Men should be the leader of the household. The woman should be an asset to help support, not a liability to take away from. Men have built the world that we exist in. Now, pay attention to her response. It's going to get good. Trust me.
Your inclination that because y'all are good at labor, that means you guys are good leaders?
No, we're internally better at leadership than women.
No, you're better at labor. Yeah, so
I
y'all
think
be out.
he's referencing the concept of infrastructure, mass
Yes, I
infrastructure.
understand labor.
Right.
So when you speak about infrastructure, yes, you guys can pick up the heavy materials, you guys can put them together, you guys can do that. However, ingenuity is not something that's specific to a man, right? The innovation is not something that's specific to a man. And as somebody who is Black, we're all Black on this panel, we all know how our innovation has been stolen by white people. The same thing has happened with women throughout history, where women's innovation was stolen by men and men got to take credit for it.
What?
So now
let me know what innovation
at
that
this moment in life, and you're saying that men have created everything. No, they have not.
No, I did not say men created everything. What I said is most of the things that we currently have that have been built by a man. Your house, the roads, right? The places, the cars. I mean, these are things, the technology that we currently are in. This is something that
Wi-Fi was created by a woman.
What's that?
That out there.
Yeah.
Wi-Fi was invented by a woman. And so the very platform that we're on right now would not be possible if not for women.
I'm very
would not go into space if not for women. I'm just saying, let's not,
No, but y'all misunderstanding what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that a man, you said that if feminism went away, men wouldn't know what to do. Is what she said. And so I'm arguing the point of how would that be possible, seeing as though men built the majority of the world as it relates to the labor, the infrastructure, the wars that were fought by men.
Okay, so I'll answer this way and then I'll pass the mic a little bit. What you have created, right, is in this combination of patriarchy and capitalism. You've created two structures that cannot exist for a long time together, right?
What?
Patriarchy says that men in general should be able to have certain resources to provide for a family and a woman.
What?
Capitalism seeks to consolidate all wealth to the top. It does not seek to play fair. It does not seek to share. I mean, you're shaking your head, but are we not seeing that?
That's not what capitalism is. Right? By definition, that's not what it is.
Let me finish my statement. So then I would say that you're completely wrong, because what we're seeing happening with capitalism right now is that things are becoming unaffordable and most men cannot sustain. So if we're going to deny that reality, then we are not having an authentic conversation at all. Because what we're seeing is that wages are not rising as fast as cost. So what is happening is capitalism is eating the possibility of patriarchy. Men cannot en masse provide. So when we're sitting here having these conversations, just understand it is not realistic down the line. You need feminism. If women were to all go home, this country would fall apart. You cannot remove 50% of a labor force and expect for there not to be an interruption that would take decades to even try to fix. And most of the men that we have here today are not the ones that built anything. Y'all were not the ones that did any of this infrastructure. You didn't design. You're not an architect. You are laborers in mass. There's men telling other men to get a trade and not go to school. So what is a trade? You're a laborer, right? That is okay. That's fine. I'm not shaming it. But what I'm saying is, if everything were to fall apart and women had to go home, there was no feminism, we can't have credit cards, this country would fall apart.
Okay. Whoa. I struggled to focus on one thing to talk about in that whole back and forth between all of them, because there was so many things said there that was just simply incorrect. But I also find it hilarious how often incorrect or just simply disingenuous some of the arguments that come from people that call themselves intellectuals. Dunning-Kruger to a T. First point, men today carry the bulk of time-heavy, risk-heavy, and physically demanding jobs. Women do not, and they choose not to. Without these jobs, if all men quit right now, our infrastructure would simply collapse. There would be calamity across our land, and I guarantee you, you would not want to live as a woman preaching feminism in a land of calamity. And the first to go and have heinous things done to them would be the weakest among us, the least protected among us. If you took that same dial and turned it off from men and instead turned it off from women, you would mostly lose jobs that have nothing to do with the servicing, the upkeep, or the maintenance of our infrastructure. Education and health service industries would be disruptive, and some social services would be disrupted. Besides that, we would figure it out. It's incredible to me how these modern day feminists, who call themselves intellectuals, by the way, will just avoid the obvious conclusions of a situation and also continue to downplay the importance of men within our society. She's calling us just laborers, as if men haven't created solely technological innovations that your privileged ass currently utilizes every single day. An interjection of the creation of one, such as Wi-Fi, which, by the way, was not created by a team of women. Men were involved in it. Does not negate the plethora of technology that men have created to sustain your life. Sometimes I wish you can drop these man-hating feminists up in a third world country where the time is reversed about 200 years, as well as their policies on equality, just so you can see them squirm. Make it into a reality show. Oh, I would react to the hell out of that. We'd have some fun up here. Without patriarchy, your life would not be as livable as what it is. Men allowed feminism to occur. But now that it has translated into man-hating, now men are pushing back. Let's continue. Quick emergency meeting. I was recently searching for my name online and found way too much personal information, which brought me down this weird rabbit hole of how that could have happened, and found out that there's companies out there called data brokers that will sell your data to marketers, scammers, and even stalkers. And it's a nasty, disgusting feeling knowing that there's bad actors out there selling my information, selling your information for profit. But that's why I'm recommending today's sponsor, Aura. Now, I use Aura to automatically remove my information from these sites and keep my information off. But they do other things as well, such as bank fraud and identity theft alerts, VPN access. But guys, utilize my link down in the description box down below for a 14-day trial. At least see if you've been compromised. Privacy is king in this day and age, and you should know if your information is out there. So again, utilize my link, aura.com/MTR, in the description box down below to try 2 weeks free. That's way more than enough time to see if your personal data has been exposed. Go now.
Well, wouldn't that also mean that men are under patriarchy just as much as women is? So why is there a necessity for feminism when it would just be a matter of human rights?
Since we're going to have, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. And the necessities of humankind. If men are suffering under that patriarchy, it's not a matter of needing feminism. It's a matter of heightening our level of human rights, because both are suffering under the guise of what patriarchy is, when really it's a system of classism that is crushing men and women.
Yeah.
What you said
feminism is necessary because people don't acknowledge humanity.
Wow.
Yes, but I don't see feminism as a necessity. I would say that it's more of a human rights issue than just a feminist issue. I mean, you can be a proponent for feminism. Ideologically, we could be one, but more than anything, it would need to be a human rights issue before it's a feminism issue, because both groups are affected. Men cannot even take care of their families as they once did before. That doesn't necessarily mean that the concept of a traditional way of living is wrong. It just means that with the modern day economy, it's very, very difficult to do so. So the problem is not necessarily just men, it's the powers that be. And if we unite with men, again, like I said, it wouldn't be a feminist issue, it would be a humanitarian, human issue.
I understand what she's saying. The one thing that tripped me up is she said that it's classism, and classism is prejudice onto you due to your socioeconomic standing. Fundamentally, I don't think that this is classism. I think that there are micro as well as macroeconomic factors at play, which is driving inflation up, which is driving skill set for new innovations down, the wave of AI stripping white-collar jobs, the tariff wars, the education or skills crisis. I mean, there's so many different things that you can call out, but I don't think that there's a discrimination on your class problem. But you guys let me know down in the comment box down below. Let's go.
So since we're going to have an authentic conversation, Vic Hayes helped assist in the creation of Wi-Fi. It was not just a woman.
Okay.
A woman was definitely a part of that innovation, since we're going to have an authentic conversation. And I do believe
the patent is under a woman one, and she was actually a great actress who initially, when she brought that to the table, they actually told her to get out of the way and let the men do the job. But again, I'm not a feminist, but I'm just saying that's actually what it is.
That's not discrediting a man assisting
at all.
That assisted men in their inventions, but it was still their invention. I'm pretty sure Apple was assisted by many women, but it's still his invention, right? So let's not take it away from the woman. But I wanted to go to Kiana. I really do agree with your perspective here, as far as this being more of, like a human rights type of conversation that we should be having, right? If we're looking for a solution, we should stop trying to have these conversations where it's one against the other, like red pill against feminism, when honestly, I feel that both have been blown out of proportion at this point, and they're extreme on both sides. What type of steps, or how do you think we could come to that, especially in today's society when we have so many people who are so right and left sided, right? And it's even hard to have these conversations where we have to argue about who invented Wi-Fi when we could just look that information up. How can we get to a point where we can come together as men and women instead of attacking each other and actually focus on human rights? Or do you think that's even a possibility?
I think that's definitely a possibility. And to sit here in front of a group of people and say that that's not a possibility is saying that we are incapable of actually valuing one another. And if that's the case, then we have a very high level problem between men and women. So the uniting of one another, just as they say in a biblical sense, is that being grateful for the value, the things that you have. So we as women would have to look at men and value everything they've done. And and men have to look at us and go, hey, I value what women have done. Now, if we can both find value in one another, men can say, look, I'm grateful that a woman is willing to have my child. I'm grateful that she may be willing to work in the home. All the things that men and women have done, we need to go back to being grateful and valuing that so that we can work together. When you value something, you have a tendency to treat it with a better sense of good, because you wouldn't, if you value something, like you value your home, you want to take care of it. If you value your kids, you take care of them. So if we value one another, we will help one another do great things. We can come together and however we see fit, because of course there's compromise on both sides, and we can have a better chance of actually dismantling what has been set against us, to dismantle our families, our children, our society as it is done. This is something that is much greater than just, oh, men and women are mad at each other. I hear men say, oh, well, what do you women bring to the table? And women say, what do men bring to the table? None of us would be here if it wasn't for the greatness of each other. So we need to value that and get back to that.
Kiana, can I ask you a question? Do you believe that you've heard men in mass not show gratitude for what women do bring as far as their contribution, their existence, in your opinion?
I mean, I've been in reality, no. I typically do not hear men speaking poorly of women. I don't typically hear that. But when we come onto social media and we have conversations, like I said, you don't typically see the happy married couple. They're not going to get on the internet complaining about their marriage. And sometimes the negatives that we see in one another can especially with the way the media is looking to set a bonfire under everybody's feet and rage bait everybody. So they're going to focus in on that. It's not like there aren't TikToks where they talk about how to save your marriage, how to have a healthy marriage, how to love one another, be grateful for one another. They have that, but you know what they put to the forefront, and we see it all the time. So we have to really stay grounded in reality and get a reality check that everything that we're hearing online is not actually what people are feeling. Maybe some people, but the majority of people, I think, because we know how children are made, how families are made, we value one another. We can just have issues at times that may seem like that's the overwhelming consensus when it's not.
I'm going to show y'all a little graph of my hypothesis of what I think that is happening here. All right. So let's say you start off with a little graph on the bottom, And the different sides of this, let's say that this one is the red pill side, right? Let's say this side is the feminism side. Let's say that somewhere in the middle, you have the balance of the two. And let's say if you can plot anywhere on this axis into the beliefs of either the man or the woman, right? Like you can have anything, right? So from a man's perspective, you could have men over here in their belief of red pill and ideology and the things that, you know, how they conduct their lives, their dating lives or what have you, right? So on this side of RP is on the side where you believe that women are completely lesser than, they're stupid, right? Like let's say more woman-hating facets of it. If you're deep into the RP and it's like nothing else, there's no consideration, there's no critical thinking, right? And on the far opposite side, you are a man-hating woman, feminist, right? you want to keep a thumb on men, them under your boot. They're laborers and nothing else. You just send them off to war so that they can die, right? Like, let's say, you know, that's the complete opposite side if you were to compare the two. But then you got women all throughout life that can be anywhere on the axis as well in terms of their beliefs, how it is that they date, how is it that they consider, you know, men in general. The problem is that let's say you were to quantify the amount of people on every side of this, and this is my hypothesis, we can argue. Let's say that you get people that believe in this degree of red pill. I think it's really small. Or this version, I think it's not even that, right? Like, and I think for men, it increases as you get closer to the balanced side. But at the same junction, I think that it is opposite for women. And this is because of how many decades, how many years, right? The marches, the movements, the cosmopolitan magazines, the Sex in the City, right? Like so much Lifetime that pushes this idea that men just beat women or right. Like, and it's almost fetishized. It's almost porn. So if you were to quantify feminist, radical feminist, I think that there's so many more of them. And I think as you get closer to the middle, you have less, right? Like the Cardi B's don't cook, don't clean. It's infused in their music. It's all throughout pop culture. And it's normalized to the effect that you get those of every culture of women experiencing this. And then you can get like, let's say an Indian man, such as an Akash, getting his entire world shooken by a Ghislaine that obviously does not like him that much, but utilizes his degree of success in order to get ahead to improve her own lifestyle. But of course, what surfaces online is going to be the far extremes of both. But there is just way more women on the extreme than there are men. Red pill in and itself does not have organizations formed behind it. It doesn't have any funding. It is not infused within government, right? Like within our political system. Shit, when I used to be in corporate America, feminism was in the damn curriculum of like extracurricular activities for employees. This right here is how you can get a Kamala Harris utilizing Megan Thee Stallion to twerk her ass up on stage during a political convention. That is a tactic that made logical and rational men vomit on themselves. So in my opinion, because of this, and I hate to make it sound like I'm, negative in regards to fixing of this, I am very dubious in that thought. It's going to take generations of correction to help this out, but it will require men to stand on business and to sacrifice their peace generation after generation to make this more even, to make this more equipped. I mean, shit, this is how you get a reliance on SNAP benefits over the man in the household. This is how you get the normalization of disparities in the family court system. This is how you get more women ending life after conception instead of carrying to full term. This is how you get the family matriarchy that has existed within, especially within the Black community, that has done nothing to completely jack up so many young men today. This is mostly online and has no real power, whereas this is instituted deeply ingrained within our families.
I want to make one more comment, then I'm going to pass the mic. The reason why I asked you that question is because there was a couple of people who spoke who are of the female persuasion, and the first thing that they laid out with their commentary was attack towards what men were doing to women in a negative capacity. And when I provided more context on the collaboration of the invention in Wi-Fi, it was not to demote nor to minimize women's contribution. I believe most men on this panel, myself included, support what women do contribute to society as a whole. So there's an energy that seems to exist. I'm not necessarily trying to be right individually. I don't think all of us are. I think we try to have expanded conversation, but there is energy. So that's why I asked you that question, because what I believe most men are asking is the very things that we've always somewhat valued: nurturing, intellect, poise, grace, spirituality, feminism, or, femininity.
Femininity. Yeah.
Those are very different, my brother.
So that's why I asked that question. So thank you.
Okay.
If your purpose was not to denounce or take away any credit from the woman, what was your point in saying that a man assisted her?
Because we were saying we were having an honest conversation.
It's
just
accurate.
like, I believe, this is my assumption. When we were talking about ingenuity, Humble Dad brought up the fact that men maintain society. So then it was told that a woman created Wi-Fi. The only point, in my opinion, to interconnect there is to provide some level of significant value with the contribution, because prior to Wi-Fi, existence was happening. Buildings were standing, cars were invented.
Correct.
Right? Like, we didn't go down the list of those things.
That was stated because Humble Dad also stated that man invented most things. Women have not invented many. And so I looked up a list of women, and it showed many women, and one of the many things they invented was Wi-Fi, which is what I just brought up, because as he was stating, the house that we live in, the roads that we drive on, the internet that we're on right now is because of women. And you came and said, well, let's have an honest conversation. She was assisted by a man.
Well, ladies, listen to all my MTRs out there. What we're watching right here is what so many men talk about. This is why it's so hard to have honest conversations with you, because as men, we like to focus in logic, rationale, and accuracy. He made an accurate statement. And instead of acknowledging that accurate statement, it's a bunch of gobbledygook that has no value, and it just anchors the conversation in complete and utter bullshit. She's not contributing a goddamn thing besides her feelings within a situation. You know what the analogy is of what she did? Someone saying that they have a doctorate's degree, and then I saying, this actually happened recently, and then I saying, well, but it's a currently unaccredited university, and it was an online, was there even a thesis? I'm not trying to bring this person down per se, all right? Because they're posturing doctorate, but is it not also accurate that that goes along with your credentials, all right? I'm focused in accuracy so we can be having the same conversation, whereas you're focused in the feelings, how you feel when the reality knocks you down a peg. This is relevant to the young ladies that are trying to find how to interact well with men. Understand that masculine men do not like to argue with you. What we like to do is to find solutions. Convoluting solutions with your feelings is not only annoying as hell, but it contributes zero value.
Well, I think
Matter.
many
men were assisted by women. That
well,
if he had stated that, and I said, well, I'm pretty sure it was a woman that assisted him in that. That would be me trying to denounce the invention of that man, right? To say, like, he didn't just do that by himself. Somebody helped him. It was a woman that helped. That's what you did. So if we're going to be honest, let's say that's what honestly you were doing.
That wasn't my attempt at all. The approach, from what I heard, from what I was listening to, we were building context. And if it still stands true. Men did invent most things. That is factually based.
That's facts.
So to say that women invented Wi-Fi, to me, is somewhat of like a tantrum-based comment. We're not denouncing that women have made contributions. I don't think any man would say that. So to bring that in and interject that again, to me, you're doing what you're accusing me of doing, and that's not what I did. Men invented most things. This is not up for debate. We don't have to go down the list. Women too, and that's the problem. I think that
everything is up for debate. When
I go on dates with women like this, if they make it to the date, because I usually figure out beforehand the type of mind that she has. But I can tell you from jump set, she's why many women sit in. Her type of women is why you sit in situationships, because you're pretty enough to put eggplant inside of you And you're also pretty enough for me to deal with your mouth sometimes, but it's never going to go beyond that. You must understand that. Your inability to run your mouth or to continue to keep quiet in the face or not curtail your childlike feelings will leave you alone. And I'm not trying to be mean here, but some of y'all need to understand the way that men think. Please get a wrangle on them.
You're listening to, when you're getting your stats and your numbers from YT men that have an agenda to make sure YT men get the credit for most things.
God.
Everything is up for debate.
But I don't believe we were arguing YT men. I think we were arguing the fact that men, white, black, Asian, whatever persuasion they stand, men have invented most things.
When you say men, the assumption is YT. We're in a YT patriarchy, sir.
Okay, so if you want to go that direction, that it still stands true that most YT men or men invented most things. It does not denounce the position. And I don't understand why we have to have somewhat of a discourse, a very trivial thing. Men invented most things, just like you're saying that the contribution of women, if they were to step away from the workforce right now, the world would stop. I disagree. Men maintain everything that you guys have as far as positions, businesses, healthcare.
Right. Hot take here. Liberal black women create more racist children than any other race combined. I want y'all to argue that down in the goddamn comment section. Like the fundamental hate that they have, right, is just, it's interesting to me because when I see it out on panels, the smugness through her constant focus on man hate and also white man hate, she will pass off to her children. But look at all their reactions. Let's go back in.
Would it crash if women stop working?
No,
things would change.
Proven this. They've actually done studies on this. No, the world was spent
today. If women stopped working, that the economy wouldn't crash.
Absolutely, there would be no crash. We can maintain no problem.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was on mute. Let me get Ella in there. Pretty, I know you want to respond, but let me just get some other folks included. And Aisha, I want to come to you. You know, just if you ever want to get tagged in, just let me know. Okay.
All right. Y'all can hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, no doubt. I missed a little bit of it, so I'm a little late to the conversation. But from what I'm hearing, we obviously trying to figure out, you know, what's wrong or what's worse is feminism or red pill. There's extremes on both sides, obviously. But I think when it comes to women, we need each other. I think anybody with a brain know that. I don't think that's like up for debate.
Sure.
And I don't think men ever act like we didn't need women. I think when we forget how things came about, it's like the whole movement, because it's two types of red pill to me. You got the relationship red pill and you got reality red pill. I feel like I'm a reality red pill. And it's like it's just seeing through the fallacies of life, whether it be spiritually, whether it be economically, whether it be anything in life, you can see through the nonsense. Look at the higher principle of it. To me, that's red pill. Then you got the red pill that you're strictly focused on the ills of dating. You know what I'm saying? To me, that's like a different sector. But I think when it comes to women, though, I think they have to be honest. Like, I think women have been convinced that being a woman isn't enough. It's like they pick out feminine talking points when it benefits them, but ultimately they don't want to be women. It's like they're mad that they're girls. It's like they always talk about the white society, but most of our issues come from white society. Most of women's talking points and most of women's
it's actually
strength that they brag about, it's what a white man told them they should be proud of. It's never the fact that I'm a mother. It's never the fact that I'm loving. It's never the fact that I'm caring. I'm educated. I have a degree.
Yeah,
I can do.
It's not. I'll be honest. I don't think that it's white men. I think it's white women. I think it's liberal white women have somehow infused their talking points into liberal black women. It's literally the exact same talking points, just repackaged with a little hint of racism. Not all. And I'm also not going to say 100% of their arguments are completely untrue, but their constant focus on complaining about it as opposed to fixing it, it's not valuable. And I don't think that it's women want to be men, right? What I do think is that it's women that want the benefits of womanhood and also the benefits of manhood without any of the repercussions of either.
That's white man shit. So it's like we like to pick the white man when it's convenient, then we like to put it down. It's like, yo, pick what is it? Either you with the shit or you not. So if we gonna keep talking all this white man stuff. It's like most of the feminist perspective is a white man's concept. It was a white man that put a battery in black women's back to even feel like her job means so much to the man. Like, that's white people shit. So it's like most of the fucking basis of women's talking points is a white man's hands up there behind making them talk, to be honest. And the same thing goes for some certain men. Oh, I got my job. It's like we're always trying to talk to each other through white people's talking points if we're just honest. You know what I'm saying? Black women, for some reason, a long time ago, have been convinced, not just black women, but women in America, period, but it affected black women the most. I feel like they went out their way to being convinced that being a woman isn't enough. They get mad when I don't want to be in the house. I don't want to help. I don't want to be just a mother. I'm more than just a wife. I'm more than, it's like, this is what white folks told y'all. And then you get mad at men because we like, hey, baby, I don't mind you working, but that's not why I love you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it helps. Great. It's the cost of living is high, of course. And if you go back in history, women always worked. When you look at the farms and all that, women was always a part of the workforce. That's why feminism is its own thing. Feminism and women working are not necessarily synonymous. Working is just a part of being a human. Like, hey, I'm gonna cook, you do the dishes. I'm gonna do the dishes, you cook. Like, that ain't feminism. That's just humanism. Feminism is specific. Woman, hear me roar. It's all about me. It has nothing to do with the other person. It's just strictly about women. You know what I'm saying? But being a human being, we all gotta work. So I just feel like a lot of times, if we're honest, we are really regurgitating what white society told us what's valuable and what's not. And I hear that oftentimes, mostly from the women's side than the men. I think a lot of men are now starting to sound a little more conservative in their talking points with this, this current social political regime we under. But a lot of talking points that women kick really be coming from white people and what they told you was valuable or not. So I just find that really strange when we had these conversations, and how quick women are to just try to demonize men and just say stuff. I heard, I think a shorty up top, pretty intellectual, like to say, "Oh, men aren't a part of the infrastructure today." That's not true, and it just diminishes men as laborers. Like,
Yeah, that's wild.
if you go get a trade, you're not just a laborer. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can start if you got a skill like HVAC, mechanics, engineering. These are some really high paying, high skilled jobs that AI can't replace.
Okay.
A lot of jobs that women have today are they only can have them based on infrastructure only made. In other words, if shit hit the fan, your PR job is not going to matter.
Okay. I'll try to summarize what I just heard in the parts that I agree with. Black women adopted the version of feminism that was created by white women and enabled by white men. Post-civil rights, they took it a couple of steps beyond that, and through the enabling of certain governmental policies such as 3 strikes, Section 8, EBT, food stamps, redlining, it increased the chances of a black man of not being in the household, which then led to the destruction of the black family. Decades later, we got some of the lowest education rates, the lowest marriage rates, the highest single mother rates, and the highest baby self-delete rates by a far margin in comparison to any other culture or community of people. When the father is not in the household, then the success rates of the children significantly decreases, and the easiest way to control a subset of people or the family is to have the father removed. Most youths that self-delete come from single mother homes. Most high school dropouts come from single mother homes. Most youths that are currently in prison come from single mother homes. And it has bred a generation of men that is more emotional, more reckless, more inclined to commit crimes, especially against other men that look like them, and mostly just the fall of a culture, but mostly in the lower socioeconomic bracket. I'm gonna stop the content right here. And to be honest with you guys, I did not think the conversation was gonna get as heavy as what it did, but I do think that it is the right conversation that we should be having. I think one thing that the content within the space has done is it continues to create a burning platform for not only the importance of men, telling men, hey, listen, this is an uphill battle. You have to get your shit together. Individually get your shit together, because I think right now the combat at a general scale, it's an uphill battle, right? So I get folks that will say that, hey, it's gone, it's lost. I get that understanding, but I like to be a lot more cup half full and to think that, well, through consistency over a long period of time and enough men stepping up to the plate and enough men demonstrating what it should look like, not within a culture that propagates, being intelligent or smart is not being black, right? Like, that's why, when I see movements such as the quarter zip movement, I'm like, finally, come on. Quarter zips are not my thing. All right. But, I like the good, smooth, movements like this. But, 20 years or so ago, you could find me wearing a nice little cardigan, all right, with a nice little tie on the inside. But this is, obviously my corporate America days. However, I do think that within that, it has to take a lot more restructuring of the mindset of women who have had decades of feminist propaganda delivered to them. And it's so infused within them. And honestly, you see a lot of that mindset infused with the young men as well. But they're so infused with it that they don't even understand who they are or where they've come from or the type of behaviors that their grandmothers or great-grandmothers elicited. But I am convinced that there will be no changes whatsoever unless a large swath of men step up to initiate change. And, these men have to be grounded in solutions, grounded in discipline, so much so that it becomes the standard, because those type of men are men or leaders that are worthy of following. I think that you can't just fix the world, right? You can't control everybody within it, but you can control individually how you move through it. You cannot stop chaos if it's currently happening, but you can also refuse to invite chaos or toxicity into your life. You can take a look at it and say, that's some bullshit right here, and just go the other way, because you can't fix an entire culture. You can't. It's impossible for just you to do it, right? But what steps or motions are you putting into place to ensure that you do not carry down the burdens that would pass down to you? How can your life be rooted in respect, stability, and truth? And I think if enough of us win over a long period of time, change can come. All right, guys. Questions, comments, concerns, drop them down in the comment box down below. I appreciate you guys for continuously rocking with me, showing all of the love throughout all of this content, all of the videos. I want you guys to light up the comment section as much as possible so we can continue on this path of having these critical conversations to continue to promote beneficial leadership, beneficial families, beneficial relationships into the future. Until next time, peace.
So without further ado, MTR, cut through the BS like we in charge. No cap with the rappers like steel bars. I'm packing and rapping like here we are. Mediocre tutorial reviews. Like, comment, share my views. Come up and I paid my dues. Big step in my black way shoes. MTR, he break it down, yeah, it's MTR. Check out the sound with his MTR. No one put it down like it's MTR.